everyone, it's another great day of learning. My name is Teacher Pao, your grade 10 arts teacher. Join me in exploring a world full of colors, patterns, and creativity. Let's all create art from the heart. Before we start with today's lesson, let's do a quick recap of what we have studied last time. We discussed about the principles of design and the elements of art. Do you remember how many principles of design are there? We have 6. First one is unity and variety. Next is balance, followed by emphasis and subordination. Fourth principle is contrast. The 5th is repetition and rhythm. And the last one is scale and proportion. How about the elements of art? How many elements are there? Yes, there are 7 elements of art, and these are line, shape, space, value, color, texture, and perspective. Do you remember the term vanishing point in perspective? Where can we find the vanishing point in this photo of a tunnel? Yes, it's right in the middle. Why don't we zoom in and see what's on the other side of this tunnel? So you see, we'll be going on a virtual tour of different artworks focusing on various art movements, because that is our topic for today, the characteristics of arts from the various art movements. The first part of this virtual tour is all about Impressionistic art movement. Impressionism emerged in the second half of the 19th century, where artists moved away from the established practices and discovered new ways to paint. They used pure, unmixed colors side by side using short, broken strokes instead of a solid line for more visual effect on the subject. They started on something new, like capturing scenes of lifelike household objects, seascapes, houses, and ordinary people. They preferred working outdoor in a natural light, incorporating unusual visual angles, out of proportion objects, subject placed off-centered, and empty spaces on the canvas. All these characterize the works of several artists, one of which is Claude Monet, who basically started Impressionism. Monet is best known for his landscape paintings. The term Impressionism was coined from his artwork entitled Impression Sunrise. Aside from this, he also used Impressionism in this artwork. This one is entitled Irises in Monet's Garden, which he created in the 1900s using oil paint. Another artist who also practiced Impressionism is Auguste Renoir. Renoir's work were snapshots of real-life paintings of actual people and figures, as we can see in his artwork Luncheon of the Boating Party. That was created in the year 1881 using oil paint in canvas. Together with Monet and Renoir, Edouard Manet also practiced Impressionism. His works depicted modern life subjects, which is evident in his piece Argantuil, created in 1874 using oil paint in canvas. Monet, Renoir, and Manet are just a few of the artists in this movement. What can you say about their technique in painting? Now that we've seen some of their works, let us now go to the next part of the tour, which is all about Expressionism. Another group of artists who became popular in the 1900s are the Expressionists. Unlike the Impressionists, these artists created works with more emotional force. To attain this, they used distorted outlines and unrealistic or unnatural images. Comparing this to Impressionism, the artworks in Expressionism are not actually what we see in the physical world, but it all depends on the artist's imagination and feelings. There are different styles that emerged within the Expressionist art movement. These are Neo-Primitivism, Fauvism, Dadaism, Surrealism, and Social Realism. Neo-Primitivism is combined elements from the native arts of the South Sea Islanders and the wood carvings of African tribes. Among the Western artists who adapted these elements was Amadeo Modigliani, who created Yellow Sweater in the year 1919 using oil paint in canvas. Oval faces and elongated shapes of African art can be seen in both his sculptures and paintings. Fauvism is the style of les fauves, which means the wild beasts in French. They are a group of early 20th century modern artists whose works are emphasized with strong colors and visual distortions. Look at this work by Henry Matisse, the most important artist of Fauvism. It's called Woman with Hat, created in 1905 using oil paint in canvas. Moving on to the next art style, Dadaism is a style characterized by imagination, remembered images, and visual tricks and surprises. The art, poetry, and performance produced by Dada artists is often satirical and nonsensical in nature, as in this artwork by Theo van Doesburg entitled Street Music, which he created in the year 1915 using pencil and paper. The Dada artists turned their backs from using traditional styles in arts, leading to their new style they called non-style. This next art style is called Surrealism, and it came from the term superrealism, a style that depicts an illogical subconscious dream world. It is a clear expression of departure from reality, as if the artists were dreaming, seeing illusions, or experiencing a change in mental state. Many surrealist works appeared morbid or gloomy subjects, as in this work of Salvador Dali in 1931, Persistence of Memory. Others were quite playful and even humorous, such as this artwork entitled Personages with a Star, created in 1933 by Joan Miro, using oil paint in canvas. The last art style from the Expressionist art movement is Social Realism. This movement expresses the artist's role in social reform. The artists use their works to show protest against injustice, inequality, immorality, and other concerns of the human condition. Social realists have addressed different social issues for the purpose of increasing people's awareness, leading to reforms in general welfare. Take a look at this painting here. This one is made by Ben Shahn in 1948 using egg tempera on board. He called it Miners' Wives. So why was it considered an artwork under social realism? We all know the dangers of mining, and a lot of people, mostly men, have lost their lives trying to make a living for their families through mining. You can see the worried face of a miner's wife illustrated in this painting. It is a sad reality. The next movement that emerged after Expressionism is the Abstractionist movement. While Expressionism was emotional, Abstractionism was logical and rational. Geometrical shapes, patterns, lines, angles, textures, and swirls of colors were used. There are two types of abstractionism. Representational abstractionism depicts still recognizable subjects, as in this artwork by Jorge Braque, called Oval Still Life, or Le Violon. You can still see the violin, which is the subject of this painting. While pure abstractionism does not recognize a subject at all, such in this work of Francis Picabia called The Spring or La Source. The abstractionist movement has four art styles, namely Cubism, Futurism, Mechanical style, and non-objectivism. The Cubist style was derived from the word cube, a three-dimensional geometric figure composed of lines, planes, and angles. Among the popular Cubist artists is Pablo Picasso. I'm sure you have heard of that name before. He created this artwork entitled Girl Before a Mirror, which he created in the year 1932 using oil paint and canvas. Futurism is a style of art that began in Italy in the early 1900s. It is fast-paced, machine-propelled. Artists draw inspiration through motion, force, speed, and strength of mechanical forms. Thus, their works depicted the dynamic sensation of all these, as seen in the works of Italian painter Gino Severini. This painting is entitled Armored Train. He created this using oil paint on canvas in the year 1915. There is also the mechanical style of art. Basic forms such as planes, cones, spheres, cylinders all fit together in a precise and neat manner. Take a look at this artwork from Fernand Léger. The city was made in the year 1919 using oil paint on canvas. You can see that the artist used the basic forms mentioned earlier to create a mechanical style of art. The last one is non-objectivism. From the term non-object, works in non-objectivism did not make use of figures or even representation of figures, just like in this oil painting of Piet Mondrian, New York City. He just used lines of primary colors to represent his idea of his subject using non-objectivism. In this part of the tour, we will talk about op art and pop art. What is the difference between the two? They may sound alike, but they are very much different in style. Optical art or op art is an art movement that gives a visual experience, a form of action painting, taking place in the viewer's eye, giving the illusion of movement. When you take a look at an artwork in this movement, just like Bridget Riley's Fall, you may think that the artwork is moving, but in reality, it's just playing tricks with your eyes. Pop art or popular art is a movement that made use of commonplaces, trivial, even nonsensical objects that pop artists enjoy. This is called Marilyn Monroe by Andy Warhol, created in the year 1967 using silkscreen print. We can see over here a photo of Cordillera Labyrinth by Roberto Villanueva, which was done in the year 1989 using bamboo and runo grass installed in the CCP grounds. This is an example of installation art, a contemporary art form that makes use of sculptural materials and other media to modify the way the viewer experiences a particular space. It is also called environmental art, project art, and temporary art. It creates an entire sensory experience for the viewers that allows them to walk through them. This one is probably my favorite type of art. It's called performance art.
Ayoko na. Tama na. Kahit heto na. Ako'y nauwi na. Dahil ayoko nang makita pa ang magiging realidad ng bayang sinta. Ngunit sa aking daan pauwi, ay nakita akong muli.
It's a form of modern art in which the actions of an individual or a group in a particular space and in a particular time constitute the work. It involves 4 basic elements: time, space, the performer's body, and a relationship between the performer and the audience. The performer himself or herself is the artist. I'm sure a lot of you guys love singing, dancing, acting, just performing in general. But were you aware that while you're doing all that, you're already creating art? Well, now you know. Well, I guess that's the end of our virtual tour today. I'm sure you've learned a lot about the different art movements and the artists who practice them, as well as their artworks. And now, to test your learnings from our lesson, let's have a short activity. Today's activity is true or false. We will read each statement carefully, and you will decide if the statement is true or false. You can write your answer on a sheet of paper or simply state them as we go through the activity. You will have 5 seconds to answer. Let's start with the first statement. In creating mechanical art, you don't need to use true-to-life subjects. Planes, cones, spheres, and cylinders are enough. This statement is true. Surrealism is also known as superrealism because it deals with fantasies and daydreams. The correct answer is true. Every individual has the right to become an artist in their own way. The answer is true. Claude Monet, Edouard Manet, and Auguste Renoir are expressionists. The correct answer is false. They are impressionists. Installation art creates an entire sensory experience for the viewer that allows him to walk through them. What's the answer? It's true. Non-objectivism style is under the Expressionism movement. This statement is false. Non-objectivism is under Abstractionism. When an artist creates a piece of art conveying an issue about a global pandemic and its economic effect, this is social realism. The correct answer is true. Installation art is also known as environmental art. This statement is true. Pure abstractionism depicts still recognizable subjects, while representational abstractionism does not recognize any subject at all. The answer is false. It's the other way around. Representational abstractionism have the recognizable subjects, and the pure abstractionism does not. Alright, did you get everything correctly? I'm sure you did. Great job, everyone! I hope you had as much fun as I did in today's lesson. For your homework, I want you to create your own modern artwork. You will need the following materials: 1/8 illustration board, old magazines, newspapers, or calendars, pair of scissors, glue, any coloring medium, and a paintbrush or sponge if you need it for coloring. The procedure is quite easy. Just select a popular subject like a product, celebrity, movie, or television character, sports, place, or brand name. Then plan how you will execute it with the materials that you have. Cut out images, letters, and others from the magazines, newspapers, or calendars that you have and paste them on the illustration board. Color the background with your coloring materials and add other details that you want to see in your artwork. Lastly, put a title to your artwork. It will be a fun activity and I know you will enjoy it. Now, before I say goodbye, let's see who's our student artist of the week. Well, that's it for today. Don't forget to explore your creativity and let's all create art from the heart. This has been Teacher Pao and I'll see you again soon only here at DepEd TV.